Hello and welcome to another episode of TEVAdrive. We are shooting in this video in the wonderful surroundings of southern Georgian Bay near Midland, and today we are presenting this 2022 Cooper SE Electric. This is a 2022, so it's a brand new model. It only had 300 kilometers on it when we picked it up from BMW Canada. So thank you BMW Canada for letting us review this car. On the other side, you see our own 2015 i3, which just turned 5 in our family. But these two cars are 7 years apart. This is 2015, this is 2022. So they're 7 model years apart, but in the, actually we've been driving this car since new, but only for 5 years, and it just went over 100,000 kilometer mark. And this is a brand new car, of course. Why are we comparing these two cars? Because they are closely related. Inside this car is basically BMW i3S. Now, the big difference being is that the Mini is front-wheel drive, the i3 is rear-wheel drive. The battery on this one, this was the first generation i3, is 22 kilowatt hours gross. And on the Mini, it's 33 kilowatt hours, which comes from the next generation i3. Actually, right now, the newest i3s have a 42 kilowatt hour battery pack. This one has 33 kilowatt hours. And how good is it? It's wonderful around the city, but is it good enough to drive to the cottage and take small road trips? Well, this is what we are about to tell you. And for those of you who are watching our other social media, such as Instagram and Facebook, we've already posted some live videos from this adventure, but this will be the full video review that we will post on our YouTube channel. And by the way, please don't forget to press that subscribe button on our channel. So, let's get to some technicalities on this Mini Cooper SE. This car, as I mentioned, has the motor from the BMW i3S, which has 183 horsepower, which is a little bit more than the base i3, which has 170 horsepower. The acceleration for this car is in the high 7.9 seconds. This is about 7.5 seconds. This car is a little heavier because, number one, the battery is bigger, but also a car made of steel, where this one, as you know, is carbon fiber and aluminum combination. So the car is actually lighter. The aerodynamics on this one is a little bit better. As you can see, the car sits lower and it has a lower drag coefficient. So we just took it on the highway. We drove 150 kilometers from our house to our cottage. And it turns out that in the city, the consumption is virtually identical. They both came out at around 12.9 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers in the city without climate, and today the temperature was around +5 in Toronto. So then we drove all the way to the lake house, 2/3 doing highway on the Highway 400, and 1/3 was basically city and side roads, so lower speeds. And the consumption was pretty close, but BMW came out ahead with approximately 14 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers consumption, where the Mini was just around the 15 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers consumption. So slightly less efficient than the BMW, but keep in mind that when BMW said that the Mini is more efficient than the BMW i3S, they compared the newest models. So we would have to compare 2022 with a 2022 i3S, which, by the way, that car today is about 10 to 15 grand more than the Mini. And also it has a bigger battery, which means that the weight difference would be much smaller between these two cars. And in that case, it's very possible that the Mini is actually more efficient. Some of the efficiency may be coming from the heating system and the climate system, which at least in our i3 is not very efficient. This Rex does not have a heat pump. It's only the pure electric versions that have the heat pump, which takes the place of the range extender in the BMW i3. So again, our driving impressions, which we will give you as we are driving through it, so we'll come to it later. Right now, let's just show you the interior and compare the interiors and the size of the i3 versus the Mini. Many people will be cross-shopping this car. However, as you can already see, the Mini is lower, it's shorter. There is less trunk space and less room in the back seat. So for adults, for going on trips in the Mini would be a bit of a struggle, where with the i3, it's still a struggle, but just not as much. It's bigger, there's more room in the back two seats, and it's a bigger trunk. The car sits higher, so you have a higher driving position, better visibility, front, back, and on all the sides. The i3 is almost as tall as our e-tron in the low position, in the efficiency or dynamic position. Now let's take a closer look at the interior of the car, the front and trunk, etc. Okay, so here I am sitting inside the Cooper SE, and as you can see, I have the seat in the lowest position. I have, and I'm, of course, as some of you may know, I'm about 6 feet 3.5 inches. My son is 6 feet 5, so 190 centimeters I am. My son is taller, 195, and we have very comfortable sitting position. When we are sitting in a comfortable position for driving, unfortunately, there's not much, and we'll show you in a moment, that there's not much really leg space left for anyone traveling in the back. And this is where the i3 wins versus the Mini, because it's simply a bigger, slightly bigger car, even though they're based on the same platform, using the same motor, same battery, etc. So the Mini has, well, I'll turn it on and you'll hear all kinds of gongs and sounds of the Mini turning on. There you go. We'll do a... Okay. Yes, it'll keep pinging. There you go. Anyways, so the car has the 2 screens, plus it has the head-up display right here, which is kind of a Hyundai, Kia, Mazda style of head-up display with this little screen that folds and unfolds as you turn on the car. It has a low-speed pedestrian warning sound as well. So we have driven this car. I gave you the statistics. On the highway, we use the green mode. Here's your remote button, so it defaults to standard mode. Here's your mode button, which changes into sport or green. So far we're driving in green. Once we get back to Toronto and we're driving it around the city, we will exclusively use the sport mode, because this car is made to be driven aggressively. This is like a go-kart. I just love driving it in the sport mode. The green mode is pretty boring, okay? So Minis are meant to be driven aggressively in a sport mode, and it's a wonderful car. It feels much more solid than the i3 on the road because it sits lower, it has wider tires. Around the corners it feels very solid, but more about that once we start driving. So just on the interior itself, again, the 2 screens, the main screen and the dash here, and the head-up display. This one, the car normally starts at 40,000. This one is fully equipped at just over 50,000. It has a dual roofs, which the front one opens. I don't know if I can get it to open now. There you go. So it tilts and it opens. Okay. And then it has, of course, so let's close it up now. And it has the cover, both for this and for the rear one. There's another blind for the rear. It's manual blinds. Here's our camera attachment, so I can't close it fully right now. But anyways, so this car comes in gray. It's called Moonwalk Gray. The interior, they said it was gray. To me, it looks that it's beige. It's a leather upgraded interior. So you have the beige seats, beige accents here and on the doors as well. So that's about interior. So in order to fix the camera, I had to get into the back seat, and I did try to close the seat. And this seat right now in the position it's in, and now the seats are manual, just like in the i3. They have more adjustment. These are sport seats. So as you can see, they have these adjustments here and lumbar adjustments, etc. But it's all manual, just like in the i3. The seats, are manual, likely due to the fact that it's for saving battery and energy. Okay, so here you have 2 USB ports. The car does not seem to come with Android Auto. It has Amazon Alexa, though, which we don't have, so we can't demonstrate it. So let me walk around and try and get into the back seat to show you how much space there is or there isn't in the back seat. Okay, so just 1 second. Okay, so let me try and get into the back seat just to demonstrate how much space there is in the back seat. So here's a handle to open the seat. You push it forward. It is already pretty much all the way forward. I have to fold myself into the back seat right here. Okay, and then there you go. And I'm inside. Okay, so it's not super uncomfortable. Of course, I'm touching the roof here in the back. I mean, it is a small two-door car. It's a sports car. But, you know, it is possible to travel for a tall adult in the back. Not maybe super comfortable, but it's good enough, right? So you have the nice dual sunroofs, one here, one there. The front one opens, the back one doesn't. But again, it's not that bad. Again, not as much space as the i3, which we'll show you in a moment. And the big bonus of the i3 is that it has the rear suicide doors, which make the egress and ingress much easier. So perhaps we're hoping that once Mini launches a full lineup of electric cars based on the dedicated platform, we're going to see 4 doors and all kinds of combinations of 2 doors, 4 doors, 5 doors, maybe a Clubman and a Countryman in full electric form. For now, this is the only Mini that's available as a pure electric. Of course, you do have the 4-door or 5-door Countryman plug-in hybrid, which we are hoping to review one day soon as well. But for now, in terms of the fully electric Minis, this is the only one that's available. And as you can see, decent space in the back for smaller adults or kids. So now to compare, we're gonna sit inside our i3 to give you an idea of comparison of interior space of these two cars. First and foremost, as you can see, there's a rear suicide door, which makes it much easier to get in and out of this car. So even without moving the front seat, which is in a comfortable sitting position for myself and my son, I can jump in the back seat. There you go, without actually moving the front seat at all. The rear is a little bit, there's more space than the Mini, but not that much more space, okay? So please excuse our i3. It's now 5 years old. It's got 100,000 kilometers on it. It's a little dirty, but anyways, you've got the back seats and there is more headroom. Now, this i3 was the first generation, did not come with a sunroof. And most likely with the sunroof, it's actually did not change the rear space. There is like it's a concave space here, so better headroom than the Mini, just because of the shape of the car. It's a taller car. And even with the sunroof in the front, the dual sunroofs, which it has just one piece of glass sliding outside on top of the roof, and the 2 blinds in the front, that does not change the space in the rear for the rear passengers. And again, I have traveled to the cottage many times with people in the back seats. Again, not super comfortable, but more comfortable than the Mini for sure. All right, let's show you the trunk of both cars to compare. The first and foremost, as you can see, the difference is the front is much shorter in the i3, but it does have the famous frunk, for which the electric cars are famous. You know, this car has been built from scratch and dedicated being built and designed as an electric car, where this is a conversion from an ICE car, from a combustion engine car into electric. So there is no frunk. It's hot. All the electronics and the motor in front, everything is here. So there's no storage space in front, where the i3 has this frunk. Now, the only issue with the frunk in the i3, as most of you know, it gets very dirty. I have a special bag, and even inside the bag is a lot of dirt that gets in as you're driving. So, and I continuously have to clean leaves and stuff and dirt that comes in from the road. And there you go. Anyways, but it is some storage space once you put it inside a bag. This was supposed to be a custom-made bag for BMW i, but as you can see, it's kind of a weird size, weird shape, doesn't quite fit inside, but it is a BMW i bag. All right, so let's show you now. So you've seen the front, storage, no storage. Let's show you the trunk in the back of those cars and compare those sizes for you. And as you can see, the trunk is fairly small, but you have this double floor, and under here there's more storage space. It's mostly for cables and stuff. There's emergency tire kit and the charging cable, which happens to be identical to our X5 charging cable. It's the same one pretty much. Okay, and now let's show you the i3. And as you can see, the trunk is quite a bit deeper. There's quite a lot of crap in here already. Our cameras, but there is no double floor. So that's the full depth. You cannot open. This is all you've got. Okay, so deeper deeper that way, but not that way. But you do have the extra frunk in the front. The 2022 Mini Cooper SE Electric. This car feels faster, and it's also more nimble because of the wider tires. So when we drove them side by side and at the same time, this car is much more sporty. Also, the acceleration, as per the test conducted by our friends, the owners of Mini Cooper SEs, those cars have been around since 2020. So that was the first year when the car arrived. One of our friends, James, who is on TEVA, and he has his own Mini enthusiast page on Facebook as well, has confirmed to us that the best acceleration time from 0 to 100 on this car is actually about 6.4, which is way better than the officially announced number, which is in the high sixes, and it's way better than the both BMW i3 and i3S. So the official acceleration numbers on the i3 are about 7.9 seconds, and on the i3S about 7.2 seconds. Some people have been able to do about 6.9. The best result where this Mini Cooper SE is 6.4 is the best results that was tested by our friends, the owners of this electric Mini. In terms of the practicality and size, the i3 wins because it's a bigger car. It sits taller, it has a higher driving position, a bigger trunk, more space in the back seats. My poor son, the cameraman, who is 6'5", is struggling to be sitting in the filming right now in the back seat because of the headroom and the legroom in the back, and the seat is all the way to the front. So a tall person could not sit in the seat right now in the front. So if you are transporting, 4 adults frequently, this car is too small for you. We have asked, many of you have asked in terms of the putting child seats in the back. And that might be tight for bigger children as well, and we have not been able to test it actually, putting 2 child seats in the back. So, but the good news is that this is the car itself is a conversion from an ICE car, from an internal combustion, from a gasoline car into electric. So the i3 modules, the battery and motor, were installed in a gas car basically, and this is first and last gas conversion that Mini will do, because Mini has announced recently that they will become a fully electric brand. So right now, as it stands, you have 2 gas cars. One of them, this Mini Cooper, has been converted to a full electric, and then the Mini Countryman has been converted to a plug-in hybrid. So these are your choices as it stands today, but within the next 2-3 years, Mini will become a fully electric brand with full electric cars being available in all sizes: 2 doors, 4 doors, crossovers, SUVs, etc., etc. So that's great news, because this car is meant to be electric. I mean, it's really fast. Like I said, it's nimble. Taking this car around the bends has no comparison with the i3 because of its lower position. It's a lower car, center of gravity, the perfect 50-50 weight distribution between front and back, and the thicker tires. So this car comes with 17-inch rims and 205 tires, where the normal i3 comes with 155 in front, 175 in the back. Even the i3S comes with 175 front and 195 back. So even the i3S tires are not as thick as these low-profile Mini Cooper SE tires with 205, and people have been upgrading them all the way to 235. Imagine that. So, I mean, this drives like a go-kart. I mean, it just holds the road incredibly, taking turns and ramps. And this car, you're just encouraged to, take them faster than you would any other car, including the i3. So, all in all, we're very impressed with this car. So is our family. My wife and daughter love this car. This is basically, a lot of ladies will love this car. You know, if you look at who's driving the Minis, a lot of ladies are driving them, men as well, for other reasons, and they would drive it differently. The different driving modes here, which include the Sport, mid-range, and then Green and Green Plus, you can adapt your style of driving. Because this car is front-wheel drive versus BMW's rear-wheel drive, and it's pretty powerful, of course you will get some torque steer on the front wheel, just like you would do in any powerful front-wheel drive electric car, such as Chevy Bolt or Kia and Hyundai electrics. And it will spin its wheels. If you push it hard in sport mode and turn off your traction control, you will spin the wheels. So, you know, in conclusion, we really loved our time with this car. I highly recommend it, and I encourage all of you to please contact any nearest BMW Mini dealer. Go and take it for a spin. I guarantee you will be impressed. 2015 BMW i3 versus a brand new 2022 Mini Cooper SE, both of them electrics. Of course, our BMW happens to be a range extended version, which has a little 2-cylinder range extender, which just charges the battery, doesn't drive the wheels. Our older BMW is equipped, it's the first gen i3 from 2015, is equipped with a 22 kilowatt-hour battery, where the Mini has a 33 kilowatt-hour battery, which is from the newer BMW i3s. However, if you were to purchase the BMW i3 right now, you would get a 42 kilowatt-hour battery. So the current BMW i3 has a bigger battery, would have a longer range. In terms of the consumption numbers, in the city, like you can see right now, the consumption on this car is 13.2, and the Mini just moments ago was showing 13.1. So in the city, they are identical. And we're driving both of them in the same way, with the climate on, because it's a rainy day, it's kind of coolish, it's around 10 degrees, so you need to keep the climate on, otherwise the windows are fogging up. And that's been the case through our entire review period this week when we're driving both cars, both in the city and on the highway. You know, we have to mention at this point, because it's our 5th anniversary of driving this car, and it has, like I said, over 100,000 kilometers, no issues with it whatsoever. The range is still very similar. We don't notice any substantial range loss or decrease in range from the battery, because the other day we put this car in Eco Pro Plus. We still got 160 kilometer estimate, where the best estimate on the car dash on the Mini, after driving conservatively and economically, was 200 kilometers range. You know, the tires are much thinner on this car, so that's why driving it on the highway with a side wind, or taking it around corners, this car, it doesn't feel as secure as the Mini. But for practicality and size, I would stick with the BMW i3. So it really depends what your lifestyle is like, what your expectations are. We have to mention that the BMW i3S right now starts at $55,000, where the Mini starts at $40,000. So there's $15,000 difference between the Mini Cooper SE and the BMW i3S. So if you need the bigger size car and you want the BMW sticker instead of Mini sticker, you will have to pay substantially more, $15,000 more. Okay, so, and of course you can equip both cars. This car has about $10,000 worth of extra equipment. The BMW i3S, you can easily take it from $55,000 all the way to $70,000 once it's fully loaded. So BMW, and it's logical, even though they are a sister company, and even though Mini is owned by BMW, but it is a less expensive brand. Okay, so again, no issues whatsoever on our 5-year-old BMW i3 with over 100,000 kilometers. No issues with batteries, no issue with quality. As you can still see, it's in its pretty good shape. And that's why we bought it out of the lease last year when the lease ended. We had no reservations about buying out the lease and keeping it in our family. It's a wonderful car. It's a unique car with you know, carbon fiber and aluminum structure, where the Mini is basically all steel construction. So this is more unique looking car, where the Mini looks like any other Mini. It's very hard to distinguish the Mini electric from the regular gas Mini. That may change in the future when the Mini becomes a full electric brand. But for now, this is a more unique looking car. And then so if you're looking for uniqueness and being noticed, then BMW is the way to go. If you want to be discreet and look like any other car, but still have fun in full electric, then Mini is the way to go, especially if you like performance. So that's about it. Thanks very much for watching. If you have any questions, please comment under our video. And of course, do not forget to click that subscribe button on our channel. We'd love to get to the 1,000 subscribers soon. And we'll talk to you next time. Thanks for watching.